I can edit it later. Welcome to Electric Vehicle Weekly. I am Jim. I am with OSR Garage. We do automotive content and reviews. We've got a slow amount of reviews going on, but right now I am working with a dealer and going to get some 2022s and 2023s to do some reviews on. So we've got a pretty packed show for today. We are going to be covering the Volkswagen ID Buzz, the Lexus RX 450h Plus plug-in hybrid, the Chevy Equinox. We're going to have a little bit of news on some Jeep EVs that are coming in, and then we will be attacking the Bollinger. We haven't heard much about Bollinger lately, but we've got a little news on them, and then we got some new battery tech that is coming at us. And hopefully this battery tech is going to push us into the next realm of charging. It's going to be pretty awesome. So let's get started. Just everybody knows that we do have memberships open. If you're interested in that, you can become part of the OSR Garage team. You get special little privileges. You get to see videos before everyone else. And then on the highest tier, you also get $25 merchandise. You get $25 in free merchandise. There's some benefits there. We also have a members only chat, and I will actually be asking for some information from you guys and of what you want to see and some direction and how you guys want to see the channel go. You guys will get some input on this, is because I want to make this channel for you guys. So that's what that is all about. If you're new here, go to my channel, check out everything, see what you like. If you do like it, click subscribe. Make sure you like the videos that you do like, and don't forget to like this stream here. So here we go. We are going to start with the Volkswagen Buzz. Alright, so here we've got the Volkswagen Buzz. There are a lot of color combinations to this little Buzz here. It does look a lot it does resemble the old Volkswagen Bus. Looks pretty cool. It's probably not what the prototype originally came out with, but that's kind of just what happens. So with the color combinations, you have two tones, and then you can get solid colors also, and I believe there is probably about 10 different colors that you can get, which is a lot. So the length on this Buzz is going to be 185.5 inches. The wheelbase is going to be at 117.5 inches. US version will be about 10.5 inches longer. And right now, this one does have the same 82 kilowatt battery, which is 77 usable, that the ID4 has. And then the US is going to have a longer wheelbase, so they are going to probably put a bigger battery in that. So it could possibly be up to a 96 kilowatt hour battery, which 90 would be available, and that could give it about 300 miles of range, which would be pretty cool. It's got about 201 horsepower, so that is the same drivetrain or electric motor that is driving the ID4. And you get 228 foot-pounds of torque. Now, someone who did do some driving and some testing as they were driving, they said that they were getting about 3.1 miles per kilowatt hour, which is pretty good, because the ID4 only gets 3.2 to 3.4, and so they kind of estimated this 3.1 would be somewhere around the 230 mile range. Charging speed on this is 170 kilowatt max, and they claim that it will charge from 5 to 80% in about 30 minutes, which is a lot better than the ID4 right now, or at least our ID4, because we haven't gotten an update. And this Buzz is running the 3.1 software, so it can handle a little bit more. And for the US, we are not going to see that until probably late 2024 at the earliest, is what my guess is. I think that's the last that I heard. And we're looking at probably starting somewhere around 55,000 and could go up to around 70,000 depending on kind of what your preference and how you set the van up. So, looking through this, it's got the ID light there. That does have, I believe, the matrix lighting. There's a nice little kind of rear roof spoiler. The wheels are different than what the other ones have been on the ID4s and the ID5s, so that's pretty cool. I like the way that they incorporated the exterior color into the interior color of the Buzz. And the seating, the color that's in the middle of the seating, and then the rest is all gray. It's just a nice little color combination. This yellow is kind of a soft tone, so it's not overpowering. It makes it feel light and airy inside. The bench seat across the back is a 4060 in the back. And then what they said is that there is no center armrest. So there's nothing that folds down so you can put your arm down. There's no cup holders there. So not real sure how that's going to work out. I know you got cup holders probably in the doors and things like that, but it'd be nice to have an armrest there in the center. So this one is the green interior, which it's the same. It's kind of a toned down neutral color. It looks pretty nice. Or maybe it's a teal. It was like a green, but maybe it's a teal, or maybe this is just a little bit different. It looks like there's kind of some wood grain going across that dash there behind the infotainment screen. The dash looks decent size, not huge, but okay. There's another picture of the ID light. What other pictures do we got? Oh, there's the green on the side there. That looks pretty nice. It just seems calm. It just seems calm and relaxing in there. There's a picture of the trays, the pop-up trays that they have. I don't know if it's enough to hold the weight of a laptop, but definitely would hold your dinner, I'm sure. There is a screen back behind the back there. So there you can see the boxes underneath that layer there, and that is the raised floor. And then you can also put a mattress in the back of there. I'm not sure if Volkswagen sells a mattress specifically for it or not, but I have seen people demonstrating that there is a mattress in the back that they can sleep on. You can camp in, whatever you want to use it for. Door handle, everything there seems pretty simple. You just got a handle, a window switch, and USB port down there, or USB-C down below there. Got a nice little cubby hole right there above where the glove box would be, and there's your charge port. People were concerned that the charge port door was going to be in the way of the sliding opening door, but doesn't seem to be the case. So those are some pretty cool colors. I like the orange and the white. That's pretty nice. I'm not sure about the green, but that and the yellow, I think, are probably the orange and the yellow are probably my favorites. Yeah, the trays do seem pretty functional. Yeah, they are a little bit on the expensive side. You know, I don't know if they were talking about possibly starting out at 55,000. I don't know if that means they're going to have maybe 2 battery sizes, and maybe the 55 is going to be a smaller battery size. I'm not sure how that would work. Great for a Happy Meal. Yep, that would be definitely great for a Happy Meal. Okay, so let's move on. And just want to ask real quick, because I was having trouble earlier, are you guys hearing me choppy, or is it coming through pretty smooth without any issues? Let me know. I don't want to, you know, drive people nuts with everything being all choppy and not being able to hear me or see me clearly, so just let me know if there's a problem. Alright, the next thing we're going to move on to is the Chevy Equinox. So on the Chevy Equinox, let's see. This one was actually looks really nice. You know, we talked about the Blazer a few weeks ago, and the Equinox just came through and looks great. Let me see here. Okay, so I am on a delay. John, are you getting a delay from my voice and my lips? Am I not synced up? I'm not sure what I can really do about that, but let's go ahead and we'll continue on. As long as everybody can hear me fine and see me fine, I'll have to figure out why there's my lips everything's not synced up. But anyway, so GM is estimating on this Equinox about 210 horsepower and 242 foot-pounds of torque for the front-wheel drive, and 290 horsepower and 346 foot-pounds of torque for the all-wheel drive. I think those numbers are pretty close to the same numbers that were on the Blazer. All right, thank you, John. The next one, I'll see if I can tighten that up a little bit and with some settings on the next stream. So the range is going to be approximately 250 to 300 miles depending on your configuration. So what I was hearing was that the 300 miles is going to be with the front wheel drive and the larger battery option. Now if you get into the all-wheel drive with the larger battery, I think it's going to push that down to probably around 280 on the range, and then I don't know if you have an all-wheel drive option with the small battery or not. It looks like charging is going to be about 150 kilowatt max. It's getting about 70 miles in about 10 minutes. Hi Sanjeeb, how are you doing? And then what else do we got? So I'm just checking the chat as we go, so I can answer anything or discuss something as we go, because that's what this is about. This is more about discussion and talking about EVs, so I want to incorporate everybody. So John says he's very impressed with the Equinox. Both the interior and exterior are better than the Model Y. Wow. Better than the Model Y. That's pretty cool. Is it just because the Model Y is maybe just so plain and simple? But the Equinox is going to seat 5, and it's going to have a 17.7-inch infotainment screen. The LT version will be available with a two-tone white roof, which we have seen in a picture circling around here. So You'll want to watch for that two-tone white roof. That is the LT version. And then the RS version will be available with a black roof, which is the same as on the Blazer. And both of them will have a 21-inch wheel option. So the pricing, yeah, we have heard $30,000. So the pricing is going to start at $30,000, and it's expected in the fall of 2023. They are going to release a limited edition first before they release anything else. So the limited edition is going to be a 2RS version, and it's going to come with a higher price tag. So I am going to guess that it's probably going to be in the $50,000 to $55,000 range, considering that the Blazer SS is going to be like $65,000. So this special edition 2RS is should be in that $50,000 to $55,000 range. The good news is that it should qualify for at least part of the tax credit. It's probably not going to get the full tax credit, but part of the tax credit, because GM does build their batteries in the US, and it's just the minerals that are probably not going to be coming from the US. And it will be built in North America, in Mexico. So the Blazer and the Equinox are going to both be built in Mexico, so it's still considered part of North America, so you shouldn't have any problems there. Okay. So Nacho Rodriguez says, what is the charging on the Equinox versus the Blazer versus the Lyric? Are they all the same? No. The Equinox is they're saying 150 kilowatt max. I believe the Lyric is, I believe, over 200. I think it's like 250. And then I believe the Blazer is probably somewhere around 200. Because I think the Lyric is like, the top echelon, so it's probably loaded up with a little bit more stuff, so it probably does charge faster. John says, would be interesting to compare the sizes of the Blazer, the Equinox, Model Y, and the Fisker Ocean. Unclear how they compare. Well, I just want to let you know, John, if you go to my channel and you look under my playlist for the Fisker Ocean, you will see that there is a Model Y versus the Fisker Ocean comparison there. I plan to do a comparison with the Blazer as soon as we get some more information, but right now we don't have enough information for me to do any type of comparison. I don't know sizes. I don't know any of that stuff right now. We don't know the battery sizes. We don't know all the ranges of each type of trim. But in those comparison videos, I have compared the Fisker Ocean to the Model Y, the Volkswagen ID4, the Kia EV6, and the Hyundai Ioniq 5. So those are all in that playlist. So you can go check that out if you want to know about that. As soon as we get more information on the Blazer and the different trim levels and that more information, then I will do that comparison video also. All right. So anybody got any more questions on the Blazer? All right. MS says, Jim, speaking of the Fisker Ocean, do you think Fisker will let order holders move up a trim from the Sport to the Ultra? I don't know right at the moment. The problem right now is that, we had that issue with the tax credit, and we had to lock in our choices so that we could, take advantage of the pre-existing tax credit next year when we get our cars. When they did that, they had to basically filled all the orders that they had delegated for the U.S. So they had broke their 50,000 vehicles is what they had planned to build, and they had those broken up to regions or to countries. And so there were so many going to each place. And when we did ours, they had to, they basically filled all of those. And so I don't know if you can move up a trim at the moment. That will depend on if they believe that they can ramp up production. If they think they can ramp up production, they may allow people to go up a trim level. But whenever we did that, they basically had so many sports, so many ultras, and so many extremes that they plan to build. Now, I can guarantee you that probably the sport was probably the fewest. Then it was probably the ultra, and then the extreme. There was probably more extremes that were available. Of course, it is a higher dollar one, but it all is also the one that has everything on it that they really want to get out there on the market. So it's possible they could open it back up and allow more people to order later on if they are able to ramp production above the 50,000 that they were planning. So, what is our next one? This is the bad thing. I don't know what happened. I actually somehow lost my information on the Lexus. I don't know what happened to it. It just kind of disappeared. So, I guess we won't be talking about the Lexus RS because I cannot pull up pictures of it. I mean, I probably can. I can look and see what I can find. But let me see if I can manage to locate one. And I will pull that up here real quick for you guys. So, is there any other questions on any of that before we move on? Probably going to jump on down to talk about Stellantis and the Jeep EVs that are getting ready to come out. I don't know if any of you have seen any of the Jeeps, but I'm going to try to pull some stuff up here. So, okay, the Jeeps, I'm going to bring those over here so you guys can see that. Okay, so these are the Jeeps that are coming out. And so they are the Jeep Recon, the Jeep Wagoneer, and the Jeep Avenger, which, they do seem to be pretty cool. I like the Jeep Avenger. That's the last one. That's the yellow one. That is probably my favorite out of all of them. And then the Wagoneer, I mean, it's a Wagoneer. It's just a massive SUV. So I bet that thing's probably got a pretty good sized battery in it. I mean, it would have to be. It would have to have a massive battery. There it is there. There's the silver one. So the Jeep Recon and the Jeep Wagoneer, they are going to be coming to the U.S. and they will be built in the U.S. which is good, because then maybe they will qualify for some part of the tax credit if they're not overpriced. The Wagoneer might be pushing the limit on the price there. And then the Avenger is going to be the first to the market, though. It's going to be in 2023. That is going to be European only, and I think it's going to be built in Poland. That'll have about a 250-mile range, they said. Now, this here we're looking at right now, that is the Recon. So they say the Recon is a boxy, rugged off-roader and is going to be a brother of the Wrangler. Yeah, I do not know where that is. Okay. So, let's get back out of here. Okay. So, the Wagoneer is expected to have a 400-mile range and be 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. Yeah, I think the Recon is really going to sell a lot, but I like the Avenger better. I just like the way it's styled. It's pretty cool. I don't know, it just looks like a beast. It does somewhat resemble the Fisker Ocean, though. Not so much the very front like the grille, but the body shape of the rest of it down the side looks a lot like the Fisker Ocean. What do you guys think about the Wagoneer? I mean, I know it's probably going to carry a hefty price tag, but it looks really nice. And I bet it's probably got like 15 screens inside of it. Probably 3 rows of seating, 15 screens. Yeah. Alright, so what do we got? What is next? I am going to have to apologize because I don't know where my Lexus went. It's a pretty nice car, though. So, has anybody heard of Mullen Automotive? I do not know who Mullen Automotive is, but Mullen Automotive apparently has decided to buy a majority stake in Bollinger Motors. So now they are actually saying press releases and executive comments suggest that they are planning on reviving the Bollinger B1 truck or SUV and the B2 electric truck. So I can't tell right now whether this chassis here is actually for the truck. I believe it's for their heavy duty machinery trucks that they were working on building. But yeah, so they are planning on building the Bollinger. Now, somebody said that they thought the Bollinger B1, the SUV there, kind of looks like a Scout, which I can see that. I can see that it looks like a Scout. The truck, I can't imagine that these are going to be all that expensive because they don't look fancy. They just look like squared off, easy paneled. Everything probably goes together really easy. They may even sell, replacement panels. I mean, they look like they just bolt on and bolt off. Yeah, John, you beat me to it as I was talking. The Bollinger is at $100,000? Really? I didn't even look into that to see how much they were. I can't believe that they are $100,000. That's Okay, now that's just ridiculous. I mean, I just don't see a $100,000 vehicle there. It's crazy. Wow. I do not understand. Sometimes I just don't understand a lot of this. Sometimes when they come up with these numbers, I don't get it. And you know what they look like to me? They look like old military Jeeps and trucks that were driving around, like you see in the movies from like the 50s or something like that. I don't know, but that's what they remind me of. And I think, anybody remember where a Bollinger is being built? I don't remember where it's built. I think maybe Minnesota? Do I remember that right? For some reason I was thinking it was like Minnesota or somewhere here in the Midwest, which I'm in Illinois, just in case anybody didn't know. But, yeah, I don't get it. I don't know. I don't say. Are you sure it's $100,000? I just can't imagine that. Okay, so I'm trying to. While I'm doing this, I'm working on pulling up some pictures of this Lexus so I can talk to you guys about it, because it really is worth looking at and seeing. So I'm working on that while we're talking here. Remind you of the G-Wagon. Yeah, I can see that. This Grandier is where it's at for old Unitarian off-roader. Will be about 60,000 with BMW i6 electric coming in a couple years. 125 grand. Wow. I don't know about paying 100 grand for anything. I mean, I just can't. It doesn't make any sense to me. So here I do have a picture of, I got a picture here of the Lexus, so I am going to go ahead and talk about it. I will try, as I'm going, to try to change some pictures for you guys. But here is the new Lexus. So this is the Lexus RX 450 HT. It is a plug-in, not HT, sorry, H+. It is a plug-in hybrid. I don't know how you guys feel about plug-in hybrids. I mean, some people just don't think that plug-in hybrid is even worth it. I think it can have its place. I think it's good for people that are trying to transition to electric. And like for me, if I had a plug-in hybrid, this one says it goes about 37 miles on electric only, which that would get me back and forth to work without any problem. So I think that is a good thing where, you know, I could drive that all week long back and forth to work without ever having to use the engine. That would be pretty cool. And then having that engine, if you decided to take a trip and you were going into an area with low electric chargers or doesn't have very many, then at least you'd have that gas part where you could get somewhere to actually charge. So they have their place, and I think it's more of a comfort thing for people because some people are just scared of it. I don't know why, but they are just scared. Here is another picture. So the grill, you can see the grill on a lot of these Lexuses are usually huge. But since it's an EV, it doesn't need to have as big a grill. So I don't think it looks as bad, but some of those gas ones, they just have massive front grills. So this also is a European spec for now. They, I think they're intending to bring it to the U.S., but I don't know exactly when. It has a 2.5 liter inline 4-cylinder motor plus a 40 kilowatt E4 motor in the all-wheel drive hybrid, getting 302 horsepower. So that's a pretty good horsepower. I mean, that thing's got a lot of power for the size. That's pretty good. It also has an 18.1 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery, and which I said earlier will get 37 miles of range on electric only mode. So that is really good. The disappointing thing about this is the price is going to be around $60,000. So $60,000 for a plug-in hybrid, that is a really high price tag for that. I can't imagine anybody really deciding to do that. I mean, if $60,000, you might as well just buy an EV. I mean, am I right? I'd go get me a really nice EV. There's a lot of nice ones out there for that price. Get a picture of the interior for you. This is not my favorite picture of the interior, but I wanted to go ahead and get that to you guys so you can see this. So here is the interior. It's nice. I like the way it's laid out, but I don't like the red leather or whatever that is in there. I don't like that red. It doesn't look very good to me. But it does look nice, and the screen looks in a good place. It doesn't look like it's too far away from the driver. Sometimes they put them too far away and you kind of have to lean over to reach. The shifter there in the center is in a good location. I think the cup holders are pretty good, and a pretty good spot too. We have some issues with our ID4 with the cup holders, because there's some down below by the arms, and then there's some up higher, up by closer to the dash, and it just seems like sometimes they're just in the way. Let me find one more picture for you guys on this car that you might want to see. Here is a picture of the space in the cargo area, so we can kind of see that. Okay, so here's the cargo area. It looks pretty good sized. I think it doesn't seem like it's very tall though. It looks like maybe 12 to 15 inches high above that, where that divider is going to slide through. But it looks deep, so you've got some depth there, but you might not have as much height. So John says a Lexus looks nice for people that want comfortable, relying, boring cars. Yeah, I have heard that the power and stuff like that, the way that the transmission is and everything like that, and suspension, everything is just okay. It's just so-so. So I don't know that. Let me get switched back over here. So yeah, I hear that all that is just so-so. It's just okay. And I think I was watching out of spec reviews, and they were kind of going over this car and a few different models by Lexus, and they all basically said the same thing. It's like Lexus is taking a slow approach to electric cars. They're not jumping in real fast head first, just throwing everything at it. They are like, we're going to let everybody else make all the mistakes and get all the recalls, and why we just take our time and make sure everything is perfect before we do anything. So that's probably their direction that they are going with that. What else? We talked about Bollinger. See what else we got here. Nacho Rodriguez says, I think the infrastructure for charging still scares a lot of people. Yes, it really does, especially our infrastructure. Now, Tesla, I mean, if most people are just worried about that, they are probably, best bet is to go to Tesla, because then you don't have that worry or range anxiety, if you want to call it that. But the way it's set up for CCS charging, yeah, it's hit or miss. And I mean, most of the time you're not going to use it. That's the problem that I think a lot of people have, is that they think, I have to have a charger by me. I have to have a fast charger. Where am I going to charge at? And 90% of the time, probably 95% of the time, you're going to be charging at your house. You're going to charge it up every day, have a full tank, have a full battery, and just go and not worry about it. The few times that you take trips during the year, and I say few times because every time I say that, then somebody else turns around and is just like, well, I travel for my job and I drive 500 miles a week and blah, 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 or more than that. 100, 200 miles a day. That's fine. It's not for everybody. EVs are not yet there for everyone. You have to decide what you need, what you want, what will work for you, and that's what you go with. But most of the time, EV charging stations, fast charging stations, are generally less than 200 miles away. And most of our cars right now are in that 250 mile range, most of them. So technically you probably could make it to a station, but they do need to be a little bit closer, because if you have a day where you're driving into the wind, that wind will cut 30 miles off. If you got a 20 mile an hour wind, I've actually had that happen to me. I've seen it. I've lost 30 miles of range just because of the wind when you're on the interstate. So they do need to increase. And this was something we were talking about earlier, was on Inside EVs. Tom Malogny was talking about, they were sitting down at different functions, and he was talking to engineers and stuff with different manufacturers, and every one of the manufacturers would get mad whenever he would say, you guys need to build an infrastructure. And their response was, it's not our responsibility to do that. But Tom's point was, if Ford and Chevy and Ram and Dodge and all of these other automakers all got together and they all threw a chunk of money into a big pot, and they did this before they started going towards all these EVs, they could have built as many charging stations as Tesla has. They could have been popping them in like gas stations and put them just everywhere. Just think if every company had dropped $500 million or $1 billion or whatever, which these companies have the money to do. If they all threw that into a pot, they could have just blew up Electrify America. They could have joined with Volkswagen and just laid them out there, and everybody right now would have no problem with getting EVs. So that's what I think they probably should have done. Right now, I just don't know what direction we're going to be going in. I mean, we're not going backwards, so there's going to be stations put in, and they're putting in more all the time. But we'll see how far it gets. Yeah, Nacho Rodriguez says it makes them not ready to commit to full EV, which is true. And then, so, all right, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was, went through Stellantis, and we did that. So we're going to talk about battery technology and what batteries are coming to us. And this might solve a lot of the range anxiety that we've got. So I don't know if anyone has heard of StoreDot. So StoreDot is an Israeli startup, and they have begun shipping their fast-charging EV batteries to automakers for real-world testing. And these samples are 30Ah lithium-ion pouch cells. And for comparison, they are, for comparison, Tesla uses 2170 cells and in its Model 3 and its Model Y. And they are only 4.8 AH. And these are 30 AH. So that's quite a bit of difference. And they say this enables the batteries to charge to 100 miles of range in 5 minutes. That is pretty awesome. So, like our ID4 is 250 miles, so it would take about 12 minutes to charge up the car. So 12 minutes, I mean, I plug it in, walk all the way from the back of the parking lot at Walmart, all the way inside, go to the bathroom, maybe get something to drink or a snack, and come back out, and the car will be fully charged. Like, fully charged. And if you were only charging to like 80% or 90%, probably take you less than 10 minutes. The cool thing about all of this is that they are the samples that they did that were sent out were actually sent out to Daimler, VinFast, Polestar, Volvo, and Ola Electric. I'm not sure who Ola Electric is, but they actually got samples for those too. And they are hoping to have these battery packs approved and ready to be used by 2024. So we could see that coming very soon. And the other thing that they are trying to do is to reduce the charging time to get 100 miles of range in 3 minutes instead of 5. So, and they're trying to do this by 2028. So now if you take that down to 3 minutes, I'm looking at my Volkswagen ID4 charging in about 9 minutes. Not even that, 7 or 8 minutes for 250 miles or 100%. So 80% charge on that, you're looking at about 6 minutes. You plug it in, sit down, look at your phone for 5 minutes, and you're charged up and ready to go. You wouldn't even make it. I don't even think you can make it from the back of the Walmart parking lot to the door and into the bathroom before it was done charging. So if that actually comes to pass and this shows up, then that is going to be a game breaker. It's going to be pretty awesome. And just for a little information for some people out there that may find this interesting, one of the main investors for this company is BP. Yeah, the BP, the gas company. But you know, Shell has charging stations. There's a lot of these gas stations that are now putting in chargers. I know Chevy or GM is working with Flying J and was it Pilot, I think, and they are getting together and they're going to start putting in charging stations. So you're going to get to the point where we're driving along and where they've got those truck stations and stuff like that. There's going to be probably EV charging stations there too. I mean, why not? Why wouldn't the gas companies do that? Because they make money off of you coming in and buying stuff. So if they can put a charger out there where you're going to come in, go to the bathroom, buy a snack and whatever else, just like a gas driver would do, then it's more money for them. So it makes sense. So that is really all the news that I had. is there anything you guys want to talk about? I can kind of clue you guys in on a little bit of things that I'm working on, that I'm going to be trying to bring to the channel, some things that I think you guys might be interested in. But if you guys got any certain questions about any vehicles or anything like that, just let me know. I'll start talking, and then if you got any questions, go ahead. So, I got a question for you guys. Did any of you make it to fully charged? That fully charged was going on this weekend, and it was a pretty big deal. I did have press passes to go, but I was unable to go because of work. So that was kind of disappointing. But I did, a friend of mine, from Sean from Fisker, we were going to meet up and hang out there for a while, but I did watch some of his video, and I did talk to him, and basically the money that I would have spent to travel there and stay at a hotel and all that stuff, he said it probably wouldn't have been worth it. There wasn't as many vehicles as we really anticipated there would be there, especially on the inside. He just said, people were there, and there was a lot of people around. There's a lot of people around the Fisker Ocean. He got there, was able to get in early with his press passes and be able to sit in it and check it out and stuff. But then the crowd started coming. So there was a big crowd around it, and the Aptera he couldn't even get close to. He said there were so many people he couldn't even get up there to it. So, which is the two that I was going to go there for mainly, is the Fisker Ocean and the Aptera. And so that's what I would have done when I got in early with my press passes. The grid. What about the power outages in California and Texas? So California and Texas, I don't know about their grids there. I mean, I live in the Midwest. We don't have any issues with power. Our power, the only time our power ever goes out or we have any issues is when there's a storm or a tornado. Other than that, our electric's on all the time. We don't have that issue. So I really can't speak for them. I believe the last thing I remember hearing was just Texas's power grid is just not very good. They couldn't handle the cold when they had that freeze come through, and they can't handle it when it's hot. So, but California, and apparently they're having issues with it being really hot too, which I don't know what is considered really hot for them. Does it get in the hundreds out there in California, or does it kind of like low 90s or something like that? Because, sometimes it's 100 degrees here, and we don't have any issue with our power. So I'm not sure what's going on. So, yeah, I can't really answer that one. What else we got here? Yeah, the grid can't handle the problem that everybody is worried that we're going to get all these EVs out here, and then everybody's going to plug in at once, and it's going to break the grid. Not everybody's going to plug in at once. Not everybody's going to be charging all day long. Honestly, whenever you charge your car, it's really not a whole lot different than you turning on your dryer and running your dryer for 8 hours. So, and I'm sure that happens a lot. I'm sure a lot of people use their dryers all at the same time, and it doesn't seem to be causing a problem. So, yeah, it probably does pull a little bit more power than that. But you know what I'm saying. There's a lot of stuff that people do all at the same time that affect electricity, and it doesn't seem to be causing a problem. So I don't see why it's going to be a huge problem. Plus, right now there's not a lot of EVs. There's more than what there was before, but there's not this massive amount that's going to break the grid. And as these EVs do come, the grid is going to adapt. It's going to grow and adapt. And if they were so worried about breaking the grid anyway. You think about how many charging stations Tesla has out there. How many people you think are all plugging in on Teslas across where, the different grids? They have a lot of stations. They pull a lot of power. So it's just, the technology changes, and I think our grid will adapt with that. There's probably going to be a lot more solar going in. People are putting more solar in their houses all the time. So if you think about that, if you think about people putting solar on their houses, that's kind of balancing out the power. So they're not pulling that power into their house anymore. So then somebody else can. So the power is there. It's just not, so it kind of balances out. It's not going to cause too much problem moving forward, I don't think. Oh. So John says a suggestion for a future episode deep dive. The Mullen 5. You know what? I'm going to write that down, and I am going to check into that and see what I can find out. And thank you for that suggestion. We'll see what the Mullen 5. I've just actually never heard of the Mullen 5. So that's pretty interesting. Thank you for that. MS, laugh out loud, yes. How do I sell my Lightning reservation? I know, sour subject for all of us. Did you see my video already? Did you watch my video earlier today? Yeah. I can't tell you how to sell yours. All I can tell you is that my dealership bought mine. And I can go into that a little bit, but then it's just taken away from the video, and I'd rather you guys go watch the video because I do get in a bit of a rant on that, and I don't want to rant on the live stream. But yes, I did sell my reservation. It just didn't make sense for me, and basically, it was either I could get a higher price truck and sell it myself and make a little bit of money, which people think it's a lot of money, but if you really think about how much tax, title, and license you're going to put into it, and also your tax, title, license, and then also the finance charge on financing an $80,000 or $100,000 truck. And then you go and sell it for 20 over, and you're probably going to walk away with maybe 5. So, if you're lucky. So that was part of the point, and I don't have to go through all of that hassle and mess and all that stuff. Nacho Rodriguez says, I'm personally excited about the Lyric, but news has gone really quiet. Yeah, they kind of brought it out, did a little display on it and everything. I think GM is just, they brought it out, showed it. The Cadillac is, the premier of GM. They've actually said all of their premium technology is going to be displayed on the Cadillac brand. And then what they learned from the Cadillac brand, they'll start, making smaller things come to the Chevy side. But so I think that GM is just kind of set on trying to push out their smaller Chevy affordable vehicles, because the Lyric, it is a $70,000 car, and it's already pushing the edge of the new tax credit, which it may only qualify for half anyway. So I think they just kind of have been focusing now on all these Chevy brands coming out. Now, I wouldn't worry too much about the Lyric, but I do believe that, I don't know if they closed reservations or they sold out of all of them for the upcoming year. I thought I remember hearing something about that. John Devansky says, I just made an Aptera reservation. Awesome. Awesome. That is awesome. John, I also have a video on the Aptera, so you can go check that out if you haven't seen that yet. I just kind of broke down all the batteries and the ranges and all that stuff, just kind of get all the information all in one place, instead of having to dig around and try to find it all yourself. And so I am really impressed by the Aptera. I think it's really cool, and I think it's really beneficial, and it's going to work out great for some people. But some people are going to look at it and be like, I am not driving that thing. That thing, it's too weird looking. But I would definitely think about getting one. I think the 400-mile range one would be perfect for us to drive down to St. Louis and drive to Chicago when we're going, and we'd be able to go there and back both places without ever having to charge it up. And I was talking to somebody else earlier, and if you think about how little you might have to charge it, like depending on your daily drive, like my daily drive is about 11 miles. So it's like a 15-minute drive to work, 15-minute drive back. So I got about 11 or 12 miles each day, so that's 24 miles. If I had the 400-mile one and I charged it up and I drove there, and then it sat out in the sun all day long while I'm at work, when I got back into it, I would probably have the same amount of miles as I left home with, or more, and then turn around and drive back home, and then get up the next day and go, I may not have to charge that thing for a month. And if it was a 1,000-mile range one, and that thing, I probably wouldn't, it'd probably be 6 months before I'd have to charge that, unless we took a trip somewhere or I ran extra places after work or something. But I mean, you imagine that, getting a car and having to charge it once or twice a month, if even that, that's crazy. Yeah, the grid thing is a strictly political one. Yeah, kind of depends on who you talk to, but yes. And I'll watch that lightning video next. Yeah, I got a little fired up on that one. Feel free to share it with people. I don't. It's fine. I don't care. MS says, I watched that video and I don't understand how so many people are not up in arms and not mad at Ford for doing what they're doing. I think my problem is the fact that they're not letting me order what I want. I got a reservation. I paid money for a reservation to buy a truck, and they shut off 2 trim levels again within 2 weeks. Why can't I order what I want? I don't care if I order it and you say, okay, well, it's going to be next fall. Now, I think it's ridiculous that it'd be next fall, but okay, I'll just wait till next fall and get my truck. But they're saying, no, nobody's ordering the Pros or the XLTs anymore. So if you want one, you have to get the Lariat or the Platinum. And then I was also hearing that they're not allowing people to extend their reservations to 2024. So basically, either get a Lariat or a Platinum or nothing. And yeah, it's just ridiculous. If you have a reservation for a vehicle, you should be able to order whatever trim level that you want to order. And then you may have to wait, just like everyone else does. They order a car and they wait 6 months now, or 8 months now. I don't care about that. I understand there's hard to get parts and things like that. I understand the waiting part of it. I just don't understand why I can't order it. It doesn't make any sense. So, yep, the Aptera does look like a blast. I think it would be fun. I'd love to drive one. I've actually reached out to them about media events and stuff that maybe I can get out there and get a chance to test drive one and do a video. John says the biggest question is how fun to drive the Aptera will be. Will it be awkward or like a MX-5 since it's so light? I think it's going to be fun. I think you'll really enjoy it. Yeah, I think it will be a little awkward. I mean, it'll be a fun vehicle, but it still might be just a little awkward. Let me see. Let me see if I can bring this up. Pull this across. So, if anybody hadn't seen the Aptera yet, this is the Aptera. And it is a very lightweight vehicle. It gets 10 miles per kilowatt hour. So, basically, the first battery, the lowest battery you can get is a 25 kilowatt hour battery, and that will get you 250 miles. So, and that car starts out at 25,000, I think, 25, 26,000, one of the two of those. And then you can get different size batteries. You can get a 40 kilowatt battery, which will get you 400 miles, a 60 kilowatt battery, kilowatt hour battery. Sorry, I keep saying kilowatt battery. And that one gets you 600 miles. And then the big one, which is a 100 kilowatt hour battery, gets you 1,000 miles. Now, some of that is kind of just projected off of that 10-mile thing because weather conditions can mess that all up. But the potential of 1,000 up to 1,000 miles, and the solar panels that you get on there, you actually will gain another 40 miles of charge per day. So that's what we were talking about. It's sitting out, all day while I'm at work. I may end up gaining 40 miles of energy while we're sitting there. So that's pretty cool. Here's another picture. We have one that I would probably get this black one. I think the black one is actually a little bit nicer than the other two. All right. All right, Nacho. See you later. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for being here. MS. Yep, totally agree with you on the Lightning stance. Let me order it since I waited so long since 2021. Just mind-blowing that they are cutting us off from ordering lower trims. Yep. It's totally ridiculous. But I'm not going to go any more into that. So, has anyone seen or heard of the Nimbus 1? The Nimbus 1, I was actually contacted by them to meet with them at Fully Charged, and they wanted me to do an interview with their owner. And since I wasn't going, I actually am talking to them and seeing about doing an online interview, and so I can put that up here on YouTube and possibly go up to Minnesota, where I think it's Minnesota or Michigan. Bollinger is Michigan. This is Minnesota, I believe. I could be getting those two mixed up. But it is... I'm going to go see if I can test drive their prototype. So this is a three-wheeled... it is about the same width as a large motorcycle, or the widest motorcycle. It will seat two people. Someone can sit behind the first person. And it gets about 93 miles on a charge. It gets 93 miles on a charge. Top speed on the Nimbus 1 is 50 miles per hour. They also have a Nimbus 1S, which is will go 75 miles per hour and gets a 128 mile range. The coolest thing about this is that the batteries are actually under the seat, and the panels open up, and they are like cartridges, and you just pull them out. Or like if you've seen some of those Bluetooth speakers, like that's in the Rivian, they look like that. They're just square, and you can pull them out, and there's up to 4 of them. And you pull them out and you take them in, and then you can get a charging station for inside your house. And you can just walk in the door, set them down inside there, and they'll charge overnight. So yeah. And that's what it looks like with the doors open. So, the charging on it, they say you can do it on a 110, 120 volt plug-in and charge it overnight, 5.7 hours, I think it says, about 5.5 hours, fully charged on the 93 mile range one. The 128 mile range one is a fixed battery, so that is one that you just have to plug in to a level 2 or just with a plug-in charger. You can't actually take those batteries out, but the other ones you can take out and charge them at their docking station inside the house. If you use a level 2 charger, they say it charges the batteries up in about an hour and a half. Okay. So the last thing that I will tell you guys about is that also when I was going to go to fully charged, they Electrify America contacted me, and they were putting on a display and show and everything there, and they asked if I wanted to come and do an interview with the spokesman from Electrify America. And I told them to. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it, so I'm working on getting an interview with them. I've got to come up with some questions. And I've got a few that I want to ask, but I am looking for some more questions, especially from you guys. The subscribers, the watchers, the viewers, whoever watches this, whether you're subscribed or not, you're watching this on the replay, put the questions down in the description, and I will see what ones I can ask. I have to submit some questions to them, and then they'll tell me which ones I'm approved to ask. Because they don't want me to ask them some controversial thing or pop up some random question on them that they can't answer. That's just not how it works anymore. We can speculate, but I am going to ask them a few questions. Like one of the questions that I want to ask is, they have a new charging technology coming out, and I want to know what the difference is between that new charging technology and the old ones that are installed right now, and how they are going to implement that. Are they going to upgrade the old ones, or are they just going to leave them alone and just start putting in these new ones? How that's going to work. And the other thing I want to know is where can we go to submit suggestive build sites for charging? Because I know of 2 places around us that are at Walmarts that are close to the interstate and would be perfect spots. But there's nowhere online to submit suggestions on places for them to look into. I mean, we're the ones that need to tell them where we need the charging, instead of them just randomly pulling, up saying, hey, will you let us put a charger there? Hey, will you let us put a charger there? Why don't they, get the information from us? And so that's one question that I want to ask, and maybe that's something they can set up so that we can do that. And then I think there was one more question that I had that I was going to... Oh, I know what it is. They have roaming charger testers, basically. They basically drive around all day long and drive from charger to charger and test each one to make sure that they are working properly, and if they aren't working properly, then they report that back to Electrify America. And I think that's really cool. I'd like to know how to get that job. Because I think that would be a fun job to just drive around, test out chargers and give them information and get them fixed. So I think that would be a cool thing. That's two things. That one and the Nimbus 1 are two things that I am working on outside of the videos that I've been producing lately. With the Fisker Ocean, the Aptera. I'm going to work on getting a Nimbus video together. I'm trying to get some footage from them and some cooperation from them. So that's all that I have. Is anybody else have any more questions? If not, then I am going to go ahead and log out of here. So everybody, thanks for being here. If you enjoyed this stream, enjoyed the chat and stuff, go ahead and make sure you hit like, click like, whatever you want to call it. If you want to get more information, this is going to be a weekly show. It's not normally this late. Usually it's at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but I was having some audio issues and streaming issues, so I finally got it figured out and got everything lined up. So normally it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Sundays. And yes, I know it's football season, so 3 o'clock is at the end of the first group of football games and the beginning of the second group. So I try to keep it to about an hour, depending on the chat. Also, click subscribe. Again, memberships are open, and if you'd like to be part of Team OSR Garage, and hopefully, thank you, John. I appreciate that. Hopefully these things get a little bit better. I'm working on having some guests on. I've got some lined up. So we will start bringing in the guests. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And like I said, I was saying about the memberships, you get to see videos first. So think about that, and you can get some merchandise. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. I will see you next week.